Stuart Storley for Sailing World Magazine. Welcome back to our interview series from the America's Cup World Series in Newport. Standing next to me is Terry Hutchinson, the skipper of Artemis Racing. Terry, welcome to Newport. I know a former hometown of yours for at least a little bit of time. Give us your brief version of your history with this town.
Well, the history probably started when I was 14 years old and I came up here to do the U.S. Youth Championships in 1983. And from there, it's continued on where I sailed 420s and raced a lot up here just through the summer sailing and junior sailing programs. And then, as you point out, from 1993 to 1997, I lived here as a resident, and I worked for shore sails and for Sobstead Sails, and then moved back down to Annapolis.
So before we go any further, I want to address a rumor that's been making the rounds, which is that on Thursday, after a day of training with Artemis, you actually went out sailing with the J-24 fleet. Are we to believe that you actually have, when given the choice, you will actually go sailing on your free time?
Absolutely, absolutely. And, Fleet 50 is a great J-24 fleet, and it was, it was amazing to go back out there and to see that there's still 25 J-24s out on the starting line. And again, from what I heard, it was a thin night, that there's more to come as the summer goes on. And, there was a lot of us that cut our teeth racing J-24s up here. And, when I moved here and lived here and sailed in Fleet 50, it was just an awesome opportunity to get better because it was always the top quality in the world.
Is there anything that you can take from that style of racing? I mean, a J-24 will do 6, maybe 7 knots on a plane or on surfing down a wave. These boats, if they're not doing double that, it's a pretty slow day.
Yeah.
What are the similarities?
Well, I mean, all the same theories apply. And racing is racing, whether you're going 14 or 4. And so it's for me, going out there on Thursday was an opportunity to go sailing with Moose, but also Andy Feathers, who's kind of our tactician strategist on the boat. He was out there with Moose and with Dunes and with Will, and it's just an opportunity to see the race course in a different light. And even though we didn't race because there was no wind, it was still a great chance to talk about the current and talk about little idiosyncrasies of Newport Harbor. And this place is going to present a really good event for the sailors. I think it's probably going to be one of the more straightforward places that we sail, but it's nice to go out and just refresh yourself in a familiar environment.
So we are here at the final event of the 2011-2012, the inaugural America's Cup World Series.
Yeah.
You guys are in a very strong position in the match racing, down in 4th in the fleet racing.
Yeah.
Why is there such a discrepancy between your performance in the match racing and in the fleet racing? What has been behind that?
I think it's, well, halfway through the season, the rules changed, is the first point. You went from one race deciding the overall to now it's a combination of all the races. So, I don't really read too much into the results because it's just, and conversely, in the match racing, we've been consistent. We've made all the semis and we've been battling along, and we've been the beneficiaries of a couple good results in the last couple regattas. But on the other side of that, Emirates and Oracle have had bad results in those. And so in Cascais, we were second in the fleet racing. In Plymouth, we didn't finish because we ended up getting hit in pre-start and we were sinking, and we inevitably ended up capsizing. In San Diego, we had a bad result, bad boat handling at the first bottom mark, in which we were in second. And so, but it's all just a one race, one hit wonder, and so you get what you get. Venice, Naples, again, we capsized in the first race of the regatta and actually did nice work battling our way back there. And then in Venice, a little bit more of the same. We battled our way back, but our inconsistency in the fleet racing has been no more or less complicated than just not getting off the starting line. And that's on me, and I own that side of the racing. And so the great thing about it is it gives us an opportunity to get better and to use all these little mini races to improve on our multi-hull skills. Inevitably, the goal is 14 months from now. All this, it's great, it's good practice, it's good to build our team, but it means absolutely nothing for the America's Cup.
Looking at the match racing,
yeah.
the fleet racing seems to be what ACEA is promoting. I mean, that seems to be what the fans seem to like. However, I get the sense, at least from you, that the match racing is more akin to what you're going to have to do in 14 months. I mean, you need to be able to maneuver these boats in a match racing scenario.
Well, last time I checked, that's what the America's Cup was. So, I'm not really. It would be a mistake to get too bogged down in it because there's so much learning that has to take place, and there's so much process that has to take place, and we've gone about it in a much different manner. We've rotated crew every single regatta. We're sailing with 3 new people here on the boat than we were in Naples, and so you know, for Artemis Racing, we could go about it a much different way. We could make the decision in much the same way that some of our competition has had, by just sailing with the same people all the time. And I'm happy to compromise in the short term if it's going to make the long term better. And in saying that, we absolutely 100% we race to win every single time. And when we go out, I mean, you've raced with me, so you know when we go out to race, we're racing to win, but we're also racing to win at the bigger picture as well.
Yeah. Let's look at this event right here, match racing, fleet racing. The match racing takes a little bit, the fleet racing is kind of an amalgam of about 5 or 6 different results, with the last one being more important than the rest.
Which is good. I mean, I think the interesting thing is that I think it's a better reflection, and that's kind of how it should be. I mean, to put all the pressure on one single race and make the decision based off of one single race, well, that's great if that's how it wants to go, but very rarely in a lot of sports is it that particular golf shot or that particular three-pointer that decides the entire game. So I think the shift towards more races counting towards the fleet racing is the right shift as a competition. And it is exciting. I get that it's exciting for the sailors and for the spectators and for everybody to see, so it's nice to see it a little bit more evenly weighted.
Now, looking down the road, of course, a few months ago, you guys were the first team to launch an AC-72 wing. I think most people are aware that the wing has failed. Our sources say it was not necessarily a capsize, but a failure of the wing, and obviously that leaves a lot up in the air. We're not going to get too into that because I know you guys keep these things fairly in-house. But tell us about going forward now. You guys, will you be repairing this wing? Are you building a new one? What's the next step for Artemis Racing on that path?
Yes and yes. We are repairing and we are building a new one. So, each team's allowed 3 wings, and so we'll continue down the process that we're going and take it all on the chin as best you can. I mean, obviously it's a is it a setback? Well, it's a setback to the extent that we let it be a setback. And what that means is it does have an implication to our plan, but it's also an unbelievable opportunity to learn. And we were the first ones to do it, so we're the first ones to experience the failures. And whether or not any other team experiences a failure of that magnitude is yet to be determined. But in some way, shape, or form, these things all have ways of playing themselves out. And for Artemis, we needed to go through this exercise because we're a new team. We need to experience some knocks on the chin first to get better as a group. And I mean, it changes the plan to the extent that we let it, but we're allowed 30 days of sailing this year, as is every other team, and I'm expecting that we're going to meet that requirement.
Yeah, and when we talk of 30 days, that's of course 30 days with the America's Cup platform, which you have yet to debut. You can't launch that until I think a couple days from now.
Yeah,
right?
July 1st. That's right.
And will you guys be throwing that in the water on July 1st or a couple days later?
Well, behind every failure is another opportunity, and so what this does is allows us a little bit more time to refine our 72, and gives us a little opportunity to recon what the other teams have, and not show our boat just yet.
Oh, it's good to see the America's Cup hasn't changed too much.
No, well, it hasn't. I mean, it hasn't. It hasn't. I think what we're doing here is great. It's great for the sport of sailing. It's great to debut what we're doing in a venue like Newport to the United States, because the passion for sailing around the world is much bigger than it is in the than the 50 states. But in Newport, there's a lot of passion for it. So it's great to have this venue to put our sport on display.
Yeah. Now, you guys were testing your AC-72 in Valencia, which is a fairly light wind venue. Yeah. You've got the wing. Sorry, yes. the wing. Now, you were testing. People don't know, testing it on a trimaran, which enables you to get outside that 30-day requirement.
Yeah.
You've now got to get this thing ready to sail in San Francisco, which of course is exactly not a light air venue. Yeah. Did this experience, and not necessarily the failure itself, but the whole experience of sailing under this wing, give you any pause that you and the other teams will be able to get the boats ready for San Francisco?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I would say that there's a lot of hesitation to say that we'll be 100% ready to go sailing in San Francisco, regardless of how much time we have. We were able to sail the trimaran. We sailed in the upper 20s. Probably pushing the high end of the wind limit for the 72 for sure. And, it's nerve-wracking. It's the teams are going to have a bit on, and, I think inevitably it'll be a full team effort that's going to win this America's Cup. Not too dissimilar to the others, but, for some odd reason, the reliability of the boat is a really big issue. The reliability of the crew is a big issue, and so it seems like it's highlighted a lot more on these machines because they go so much faster. We're very close to the edge, and the consequences of doing something wrong are fairly catastrophic.
This is your first America's Cup as a skipper, and anyone that knows you knows that this has been a goal of yours since, well, maybe since you were this tall, maybe a little bit taller.
Par 30s
yeah, yeah. Well, I'm sure it's been long before that. Long before that.
Yeah.
What's it been like being the leader of this team? And has the experience been everything you hoped for? Is it, putting a few more gray hairs on your head, or is it, yeah?
I don't know. I don't know. No, I mean, it's, we're in a fortunate position that we have a lot of really high quality people on our team, and part of the challenge is getting everybody to think the same way. And the experience itself has been, there's been aspects of it, so it's been really, really hard. Because we are breaking new territory here, and it's not, we're all out of our comfort zone, from Juan to myself to the guys that are designing structures on these boats. We're not exactly doing what we have been trained to do for the last 25 years. To have the opportunity to be in this role is great. I mean, it's, as you point out, it's the dream of a lifetime, and I hope that I don't waste the opportunity. But the beauty of all the past experiences that have led up to this moment is that you can draw off of all those. And whether I was a tactician on Team New Zealand or trimming the main-ar in America 1, or the tactician on Stars and Stripes or driving Artemis, I mean, you're still one piece of the puzzle. And I'm more convinced than ever that we'll only be as good as our weakest person, because it's the combination of everybody's efforts.
All right, let's bring it back to Newport here. As you mentioned, you have 3 new crew now. These aren't, I think one of them is new to the team, right?
Yeah.
Terry Fouchier is new. Yes. The other guys are guys that have been on the team, sailed together, but 5 guys doing the job of what maybe would be 7 or 8 people on these boats. You've got to be completely synchronized. What do you do over the next 3 or 4 days to get your team ready to sail in whatever Newport's going to throw at you? And we know it can be a wide range.
Well, I think your point's a good one, and as you point out, Sean raced in Cascais and he raced in Plymouth, and Julian raced in Cascais and raced in San Diego. So in some way, shape, or form, we've all raced together, and we've done time on the Extreme 40s together. Andy's been the most consistent out of it. And Fouch comes to us from Oracle. He won the 33rd America's Cup with them, and so he's a high-quality sailor and a great teammate. And really, what are our goals are very simple, to stay focused on the process on the boat and to really work hard on a communication, because I want us to develop as a team that, not necessarily out on Newport Harbor fires under pressure, but we develop, the boundaries of becoming a solid team together, so that as the pressure gets escalated, we, each day is the same as the one before, whether it's race 5 of the America's Cup or, a day out on Newport Harbor. And so that's where these opportunities in this AC World Series has been really, really invaluable, especially for Artemis as a new team. And so, for the last, we trained for 6 days in Valencia in our other boat, and then we've come here and we've raced, and we really work hard to identify the chinks in the armor. And if we can figure out where our thresholds are, boat handling wise, communication wise, then it gives us an opportunity to control all those variables on board. And that's really, this racing is fast paced and it's intense, and so if you do all the stuff on the boat really, really well, that's the stuff that you can control, and the other stuff you can't really control. And so that's what we're focusing on.
So you just keep the focus here maybe more internal than it has been in previous America's Cups.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Well, Terry, thank you very much for your time. Sure. Best of luck in your return to Newport. It's great to have you here.
And thanks for Sailing World for all the support and everything you guys do.
We're always happy to have you around, Terry. Thanks again.